we just watched Hans Rosling's video on HIV/AIDS in Africa, and I thought it was really interesting what his main point was on how HIV is so prevalent since 1989, since the first case, and it just kept expanding all over the world because, I don't know, I find it interesting that one disease can spread all over the entire world. And does it just stay in one place? Because certain diseases just stay in one place. Like tuberculosis is super common in third world countries, but in the United States, you almost never see it.
I think it's important to not group Africa, the countries in Africa together, because a lot of times people do, and it's important to realize that there are different nations and different countries, and some of which are doing better than others, especially in HIV.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I too thought it was interesting how he made sure that nobody grouped Africa as a whole, because that would be unfair, because the majority, from what we saw in the video, of the African countries were at the same level as the United States or the other countries it was showing, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know, because I think a lot of people do group Africa as this one giant entity, and it is very dynamic and different in many aspects, especially in HIV/AIDS. You compare Zimbabwe has one of the highest HIV rates in the entire country or continent compared to, I don't know, Nigeria, I guess you could compare it to. Just, it's one of the higher ones. And some of them actually, if you even split that that country, within the rates were just as low as the United States. So it's really not fair to just stereotype an entire country off of one state within it.
Also, when he brought up that it wasn't even necessarily about poverty that caused the high rates of HIV, because which country did he break down? Zimbabwe?
Botswana.
When he broke down Botswana, he showed the 5, levels of poverty, and the richer class, the richer population had the higher rates of HIV in the first place. That's pretty interesting, because I think a lot of times people look at Africa, and I know I do, and think that they're highly populated with HIV because of their poverty,
Yeah, definitely. You can't necessarily, cause and effect. You can't say just because they are impoverished, then they do have HIV. Because it was one of the higher class societies that did have the highest rate in HIV.
Also, one of the lowest income countries had the lowest HIV rates. I forgot which one, but I saw it on the graph.
Uganda, maybe?
Could be Uganda.
One of them.
Definitely.
There's too many African countries to count.
Yes. What else did he talk about within that? I liked how he said that. I think it was Russia or some Scandinavian country over there. Said that how diseases spread is so quickly just because you have a certain one and then you have a chlamydia outbreak just because you sleep with many people. Then it just is faster, and the chance of you getting one of these diseases is 1 in 1,000, and that's a big percentage chance to get it.
One thing I thought of, like, when he was going over that, what she just said, was kind of sounds like one of those things where, like, HIV, it just, kind of had a snowball effect in Africa, and, it has the same likelihood to happen in any other country. It's just Africa, maybe, those specific countries in Africa. There we go. Correcting our mistakes. The specific countries in Africa are having the snowball effect of HIV, where they're just, it started and it just spread a lot quicker and quicker. Whereas, like, no other country is really immune. Maybe the tools we have or whatever, we use protection, whereas those countries in Africa don't. And rape is a problem there. Tons of problems. But, yeah. Anything else?
Yes.
I liked how he used a pole instead of a laser pointer. I figured that was a very effective metaphor for how third world countries use the resources they have.
Good point.
That was a very sneaky metaphor you had there.
Hans Rosling, everybody.
Yes. What was your statement you said before?
About the how quick it spread, HIV spread.
Yeah.
And how he was talking
Or
about
how-
in Sweden.
Yeah, how
The whole
specifically
chlamydia.
it's spread. I think that's also interesting if you just juxtapose that with how the government is run. Because in Africa, they don't consider it rape if you're 14 years or younger, then it's considered abuse and not rape. So you can't really prosecute somebody